Time now to talk all things politics with our political insiders, Charlie Giroux, our Republican strategist, Tony May, our Democratic strategist.
Thank you guys, as always, for being here. Now, we want to begin with the latest in the capital city. Harrisburg had to answer to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for misleading bond investors. What does this mean for the state, politically, for our government?
Well, I think this will have some significant meaning beyond Harrisburg, because what it says, what the SEC was saying is, not only do you have to be truthful in your prospectus to investors for these bonds, but you can't make misleading statements orally outside of those kinds of prospectuses. So it means that politicians will have to tell the truth more.
Charlie?
He's right. This is the first time.
Rarely agree like that.
This is the first time this has ever happened, and this is going to, in my judgment, have a very dramatic effect, not only on the development of the bond documents, but on statements made outside. As you know, one of the statements that the SEC focused on was things that Steve Reed said in his State of the City address some years ago, totally outside of any transactional aspect of the bond issues. Tony's right. This is going to, I think, have a ripple effect and a lot more close scrutiny in how these things are developed and done.
Charlie, let's stay with you and shift gears here to the governor finally getting around to getting a bill moving on reforming the retirement plans for the state workers, pension reform.
Well, the governor not finally getting around to it, but yes, today.
I mean, time is running out.
Time's not running out there in the first couple of months of the session, Rob. I think that ought to be pointed out.
Well, you're picking a fight with me now.
The phraseology here is kind of interesting from time to time.
Well, the governor has rolled out
a plan, a specific plan to deal with the pension crisis that one of your voices a little bit earlier said wasn't really a crisis. I mean, only the ostrich with his head buried up to various parts of his anatomy in the sand is going to say that there isn't a crisis. It's upon us. It's a serious one. This step taken by the governor, which is very important, even the critics are saying it has to be done, may not even go far enough. This is a long-term problem that's going to require a lot of serious looks as we go forward.
There are two problems. One is, as the labor representative said, it takes the money out of the pockets of working state employees in going forward in the future.
It doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't.
But beyond that, it proposes to fix the problem by doing more of what created the problem in the first place. It intends to lower the state's retirement contributions, and that's been what's been behind the underfunding in the pension system. For years, employees have put their 7.5% in for their pensions. The state has put in 1% or less for about a decade, and they weren't properly funding the pension system. What the governor wants to do is to reduce that share now going further.
Well,
the chickens have come home to roost.
Okay, let's go back here, though. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is such a black and white opinion here. You said it's going to come out of their pockets. You said it absolutely won't.
That's why I said time was running out.
It's not
an easy debate.
How do we have...
What the governor is suggesting is that we change the formula for people coming into the system. People already in the system are not going to have their benefits affected under this legislation that's been proposed. That's an absolute falsehood that's being perpetrated by the opponents of it. It couldn't be any further from the truth.
But you say yes.
But it is further from the truth. I mean, there's language in this proposal to encourage state employees to switch from the current retirement system, the defined benefit program, to a 401k kind of program in which they would have to contribute more money and the state would contribute less.
Voluntarily.
Voluntarily take less take-home pay, take less income from the state for the work that you do.
So you have to volunteer to have the money taken out of your pocket.
So nobody's having anything taken out of their pocket unless they choose to do that, and it may turn out that there's more to coming to them.
What would you recommend them to do?
Tony, I'll tell you what. We've got a serious problem here. We have a serious problem because you and your friends jacked up these pensions way beyond where they should have been years ago. The chickens are now coming home to roost because we didn't properly fund them. The state didn't fulfill its obligations, and now we've got a serious crisis upon us that runs into the billions of dollars. I don't know what your solution is, but I assume it's to simply lay more of this on the future of Pennsylvania, on our children and on our economy with higher taxes. That simply doesn't work because there's not enough tax money to do it.
All right, we got to
Governor,
wrap
he
there.
said $65 billion in 20 years.
Our political insiders, Tony May, Charlie Giroux, thank you guys
You
as
guys
always.
can continue as we continue on.
You can catch them both here Tuesdays on CBS 21 News at 5:30.